Right now I'm at Bryn Rock, just near Inverness. It's a very lovely, quiet November day. It's been snowing overnight. The snow's melted back a little bit, but it's quite chilly. And I'm sitting right below a new project. The kind of classic of the crag here is an 8B called The Force, which is really excellent crimpy climbing. And there's an obvious right-hand start to it, which is going to add about 8 metres of climbing onto the start. Very, very sustained. I actually bolted it back in 2015, and there was a 2-move section that I just couldn't do at all. It's not that there weren't really holds. That was the kind of odd thing, is that there are actually some quite decent holds, but they're all angled really the wrong way, and there's just not the footholds there where you want them to be. So this one section I just couldn't do, and so I just left it behind and got involved with other things. It's not that I actually made a conscious decision not to come back and try it again, it's just that there are so many new routes for me to get on that you kind of have to prioritise the ones you want to do most, because you're never going to do them all. It was 2 weekends ago that I completed Hunger, which I'd been trying, the 9A that I'd been trying for a couple of years, and inevitably I was thinking, I wonder if there's any other good 9A projects that I can jump straight back onto, and the first thought that came into my mind was this thing. So at the moment I would say that it looks like a Font 7C straight off the ground into a 2-move Font 7B into maybe another Font 7C, and then straight into the starter difficulties on the Route 8B of The Force. So it's going to be a super sustained power endurance route, but I think the most likely thing is it's probably a 9A. So after I've had my cup of tea, I'm going to jump back on the shunt and start working on the moves again. I must admit that having spent a lot of time going to the Anvil, which is quite difficult for me to get to, there's a bit of a drive, a bit of a cycle. The weather's often really poor in the west, so I spent a lot of rainy days cycling and getting very wet. Coming to this place over in the east coast of Scotland, it's a really quite different climate, it's much drier. The approach to this crag is really short, everything is just so much easier, so it's a really chilled out affair. I like coming here, and I'm actually really looking forward to just the contrast. I like difficulty, and I like things being awkward and challenging. That's just part of climbing, but I just like the contrast of the two, so it would be quite nice to have like a chilled out morning, doing a bit of work at home till like 11-12 o'clock, then driving up here. And also one of the nice things about climbing is going to different places and seeing the variety of different landscapes. For a lot of climbers, they actually have to go to different countries to experience that, and that's one of the main benefits of living in Scotland, is that we have a huge variety of landscapes in the one country. So where I live over in the West Highlands, it's full of big rugged mountains, pretty dramatic weather with storm systems coming through quite frequently, but you just drive over to the east side of the Highland chain, and this part of the East Highlands, although there are some big mountains here, it's much more chilled, the weather is a lot more settled. It's been 2 weeks since I climbed the 9A Hunger that I posted my last video on, and many of you left lots of nice comments on that video, which was really nice of you. Thank you for those. It's been a really odd period for me the last 2 weeks of having completed that project, because it was such a major focus for me for such a long time, and I really do very well in that state of intensity and focus. Like it feels like it brings out the best in me, and I don't really find it, well, I find it stressful, but I find it stressful in a good way. I just really enjoy the intensity of focus on a project, and I even enjoy the pressure of it. So now that that's all gone, and I had that immediate feeling of a total freedom, of like the possibility of like, well, what will I do next with my life?
I've butchered the Force a little bit more. This is the hold that marks the end of the crux. Nasty hold, so I decided to rip it off the wall. Make things a lot harder again. But luckily we found it in one piece, so hopefully it can go back on where it belongs.
Have you not broken enough holds off this route already?
Honestly I have. I need to call a truce.
I must say that I also had the general feeling from body and mind that I wanted a small rest, a good few days off. So in the week that after I did Hunger, I did take basically a week off training. I mean, for one thing, I do feel that just my training sessions alone feel way more effective, way more positive if I have a real goal that I'm actually training towards. And having just completed a major goal that I had forgotten everything else in order to focus on just that. I didn't really have a clear goal, and so it actually felt better to just take a small break from training. And that is quite a hard thing to do when you've just been at really peak form. I mean, I was climbing very well when I red pointed hunger. I felt like super strong and fit, and to kind of let that slip a little bit is quite difficult, but it does pay off in the long run. You can't be in 100% peak form all the time, but what you do find is that even if you have a rest, you think, oh, I'm going to lose all my fitness, but actually your base level of, well, particularly strength, but also even fitness, you maintain a lot of it, and by actually having a few days off, sometimes you can actually feel a lot better. So anyway, that 2 weeks has passed, and I now feel ready to step on to a new project. Alright, let's go.